Hey everyone, welcome to the Weirdest News in History, or Weird News Wednesday, as some of you guys are saying, with your host, me, Ben Chasteen. So tonight I'll be talking about number 5. While camping at a friend's family property, one man went out to sit by the fire. He thought it was completely alone, until a friend wondered who was sitting next to him. And number 4, meet Kann, Superhands, Trichan, a supernatural human with a superhero-like backstory. In fact, this guy could literally have his own comic book series. It's so good. And number 3, a ghost story that would give the kid from The Sixth Sense a scare. This chilling tale is so eerie, it'd spook even the child who famously saw dead people. And number 2, car accidents are common in Nebraska, pretty much anywhere, but seeing the same unidentified man at multiple crash scenes isn't so much so. This mysterious figure keeps appearing at rural Nebraska accidents, leaving everyone a little baffled. And number 1, hear a personal ghost story from yours truly, along with my brother, who is joining me, that will definitely make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. Both of these stories that we have are very chilling tales, and we thought we would share them with you since we're both here together. So stay tuned to hear the weirdest news in history with me, Ben Chasteen. All right. Hope you guys are all doing well. Once again, I have Jordan with me, who's helping me out. And,
hey, how's it going?
Hey, how are you?
I'm good. A little nervous, but I'm good.
Yeah,
that's your first time doing this live. So
it's cool, so people understand, if something takes a second or if there's a little bit of a mess up, you guys understand. It's the first time doing a live show with me. We were going to kind of pre-record it, but then I just wasn't feeling so well. So I was like, why don't we just go live? That would be cool. So part of the reasons why we didn't go live is because he's still kind of getting used to things, but I'm like, we'll just try it. Might as well. Right. All right. Yeah. Number 1, you guys are really going to like our stories. Growing up together, we have a lot of stories to share. So we were actually trying to figure out which ones talk about, actually.
Which ones do we want to talk about? And
save
it for later dates.
Yeah, we'll save. We have a lot to share, so we can save. Yeah, we'll just share one for now, and then we'll do another one later on. Okay, start at number 5. This is literally a campfire ghost story here. So this was on a Reddit forum where people are sharing personal ghost stories that I found, and this is from Pork9. That's the guy's name. But he says, camping at a friend's property with a group of friends. They had a huge dingy shop full of old tools and old furniture that was super creepy. Dirt floor, clown paintings. He's like, I don't really know why. He's like, I'm not even kidding. So we stayed up late drinking by the fire, and I was the last one left awake. He goes to the bathroom to the side of the shop and stood about 5 feet away looking inside the window. And he said there, through the light, he noticed it, like the fluorescent light in the window. He noticed that a piece of paper or a dollar was kind of floating around. At first, he thought it was a moth, but he said it was moving in a very flowing figure 8 pattern that was very rhythmic, almost like in Harry Potter when you're seeing the one thing in Harry Potter that's kind of like flowing almost like a figure eight. He said it reminded me of a dangling carrot because it was kind of going back and forth. He's like, I watched it for like 20 seconds, which felt like forever. Then it quickly floated to the back of the corner of the shop where it was dark. There was also a wooden chair near the corner that added to the whole creepiness vibe of this. Could have been a moth, though. Don't really know. I sat back down by the fire to finish my beer and have a smoke. No one else was awake. So I decided to play a game on my phone. So he stood there he sat there by the fire playing a game on his phone. And then he noticed that this is what he said. He said, I noticed my friend Mark pop out of his tent to use the bathroom. Then I go back in to sleep. I decided to sleep, then he goes back into sleep. I decided sleep sounded good, so I went to my tent and fell asleep. The next morning, we were having our breakfast, and Mark said to me, I saw you guys sitting by the fire super late. How late did you stay up? He said, I told him it was probably 2 or 3. Then he said, who was with you? I told him I was the last man standing. He said, I got up to pee and I saw you on your phone and there was 2 people over your shoulder watching you play your game. He said one person looked bigger, so he thought it was one of our friends who was with our group. Then he said the other person was taller and skinnier, but none of us are noticeably tall or skinny. He said, this totally freaked me out. We still camp at the property once a year, but I don't go near the shop. I go to sleep whenever my wife decides she's tired. When they go camping, he means at the same place. Now, to follow this up, someone wrote to him, could this been a joke that Mark was playing? And he's like, it could be, but Mark is not really the pranking type. He's a very wholesome, sweet guy, and it would have been totally unprompted. I didn't tell anyone about the floating paper until after he mentioned, though, that the 2 people were standing over me. I wonder who they are, though. You know, if they were really people, these 2 guys standing over him. I would like to know the whole history of where they are, the history of the area. Most likely it's probably 2 people that lived there, but I don't know. It's kind of weird, kind of creepy. But I mean, I don't really sense like super negative vibes from this, but it's just kind of interesting because you think of like campfire ghost stories, and this actually happens around a campfire, and it's a ghost story. So I don't know. What do you think, Jordan?
I don't know. I think it's really interesting to walk out, and it's kind of curious that they were watching him play on his phone. I'm with you. I don't see anything like malicious about it. I mean, seeing weird stuff like that too. So it's just, I don't know. I think it's interesting. Yeah,
I do too.
Yeah. And sometimes these Reddit stories too, like you can kind of tell when people are kind of like, hey, this is just a weird thing, or if it's more so fake. Because there's not really much embellishment on it. It's like, hey, my friend saw 2 people standing over me while I was on my phone. That's not the most like, that's not something that you'd like want to like, oh, I had this crazy ghost story. It's more like, dude, I had this weird thing happen to me. So
right. Yeah, exactly. Because I've seen a few of these and then I'm like, this looks kind of fake, honestly. It's like the real ones just are like you said, it's just like, oh, hey, like this happened to me. I'm just sharing this because, people are like, hey, what's weird ghost stories that you've had? And then people are just answering on this form, and a lot of it aren't really getting like super big attention. I think people are just like, oh, cool. I just want to get this off my chest and tell this story, So they're all kind of interesting stories. That's why I find these really pretty cool. But number 4 is totally different. Let's move on to our number 4 story. And Trichan, the dude with supernatural or supernormal powers. Jordan, you could play this video. Yeah. This is him right here. You don't get the superhero name of Superhands without having some superhuman skill. So this guy, 50-year-old Kann Superhands Trichan. He is a Chiang Mai based street cook who got this cool nickname after being able to sink his fingers into 480 degrees of hot grease without so much getting a blister on his finger. This is him cooking in these big woks, and then he could just like reach his hand in there and pull out chicken. Like, that is just crazy. Totally insane. And a lot of people want to know how he got this like amazing ability. And people come from all over the world now to visit the fried chicken Iron Hands man. That's also like his locally, like that what he's called. And to see him like scoop out this chicken. Now, the most interesting part is that he never was trained to do this. In fact, his origin story literally sounds something more like straight from a comic book. He was attending his gigantic walk, as you saw there one day, and he saw a squirrel that was just on a branch right above his walk. And the squirrel was eating a mango, and it dropped it because it was too heavy, and it landed right in the middle of his big vat of oil, and it just splashed right in it, and it just splashed all over him, on his head, on his body, on his face, on his hands. All the other street vendors were like, dude, you got to go to the hospital. You need to go check that out. Make sure you don't get any serious burns or anything. So right away, he took a taxi home and decided that he was going to wait till the next day to go to the hospital. So he found something interesting. When he woke up in that morning, he didn't have a single burn on his body. So, he checked himself again in the mirror, realized he was okay. He was like, all right, I'll just show up to work. And then all the other vendors in the area were like completely shocked. They're like, how are you even here? And he's like, I don't know. And so he began to experiment with this, and he just started dipping his hands in and getting the chicken out. And lo and behold, he was finding that he wasn't getting burned, no blisters, nothing. And, his business started booming ever since. And, at the time, I don't know how long he's been doing this, maybe like 7 or 10 years. He's still at it as far as I know. And, yeah, it's in the Chiang Mai Technical College is where he operates his food stand or his food truck. And, all kinds of tourists now come by and everything. But, it's so interesting story. He now holds the Guinness Book records, the world record of picking 20 pieces of chicken from oil heated to 480 degrees Celsius. Celsius. Wait a minute. Celsius? Not Fahrenheit? That's got to be wrong. Dude, that's crazy hot. 480 degrees Celsius?
That would be 896 degrees Fahrenheit.
I can't imagine that would be the case. That seems way too hot to cook oil. 480 degrees Fahrenheit seems better. Because, I don't know, though. Maybe it is that hot. Either way, if it's like almost 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit, that would be way more insane.
So on average, most oils cook between 360 to 400 degrees Fahrenheit. So
yeah,
it's probably Fahrenheit.
I think it's Fahrenheit. I think wherever I got this from, I think they had a mistake there, because that would just like dissolve your hand. But anyway, he says he can feel the oil is hot when he dips his hands in, but it simply leaves no mark. And scientists have yet to unravel this weird mystery or gift, I guess you could say. So pretty interesting stuff. I always think these like superhuman abilities are all really awesome stuff. People are really amazing. There's some really amazing people out there. And it's just so interesting to see what people like. One time I had on the show this guy who could just run forever without his muscles hurting at all. It was like he was literally like the Flash. He could just Barry Allen. He could just run. It's crazy. All right, let's move on to number 3. Sorry, guys, still a little bit under the weather here. All right, number 3. This is another ghost story that would give the kid from Sixth Sense a scare. So, all right, this is interesting. So, another Reddit forum where a guy says, they were talking about ghost stories, and he says, I've had a bunch, but this one stands out as probably one of the more intense and freakiest ones that this guy had. He said that it was about 3 a.m. and he heard his son, his youngest son, waking up and crying over a bad dream. He said he was 4 at the time. I called him down and then he told me he's hungry. So we go into a kitchen for the snack. He's sitting there eating cereal when he just kind of looks up and then casually tells me the boy who woke him up is sitting in the corner crying. And he nods to an empty corner of the room by the table where we're seated. So this is his son is just like nodding to an empty space in the corner. So he says, I asked him why the kid is crying. It's just kind of like humoring him when he tells me, this is his son telling him this, his mommy crashed the car up the road and now he's trying to figure out what's going on. He woke me up and he woke me up. Please tell me. He woke me up. Please tell him to go. He's telling this to his father. Sorry. So he looks at his father and says, please tell him to go. Because he's like, he woke me up and I'm kind of scared, So his father's thinking like, okay, this is still some bad dream. This kid, still kind of like thinking about all this. And so he kind of humors the kid and he looks in the corner of the room and just says, hey kid, go back to your mom, just to like, humor his own son to kind of like put his mind at ease. And he's like, okay, here we go. So he says, we keep sitting there and my son finishes his cereal and hands me the bowl. Just kind of joking around, I asked him if it worked and if the kid left. And he looks at me really seriously and says, yes, he told me the ambulance is coming, so it's okay. They're all dead anyways. Not even a minute later, a string of cop cars and ambulance go past our house with sirens blazing. I got this really eerie feeling of the most intense dread while the hair stood up on the back of my neck. I shook it off, told myself it was just a kid's imagination. And by consequence, we went back to bed. By coincidence, we went back to bed. A few days later, my neighbor tells me all about a big wreck a mile up the street from where they live, where some lady was going too fast and flipped the car coming around a curve and no one survived. At 3:00 in the morning on the night that his kid woke up, he didn't even want to ask if there was a little boy in the car. He was too afraid to ask. So, there was a follow-up question, and because I guess this happened like 9 years ago, and he was just telling this story. And so somebody asked him, "Did you ever tell your son about this, or would you? Is it something he remembers?" He said, "I did," and he doesn't remember it. He also said that he would sometimes see people and is fairly sure that they were ghosts or spirits. He thought it was normal because he would ask his grandmother, the kid's grandmother or the guy's mom, about it. Once at their house, he saw these like spirits and ghosts at the grandma's house. He says, my family is pretty attuned when it comes to things people label as supernatural. So I guess there's a lot of that in his family. But anyway, it's kind of interesting, freaky post. I don't know if I've really heard anything quite. I mean, I've heard people, like after something like that or crash or something where people kind of see lingering spirits and stuff. I mean, even I kind of had a personal experience like that, but nothing like where it just happened and that took place. I mean, that's pretty freaky. What do you think, Jordan?
Well, that's kind of the plot of The Sixth Sense.
mean, it kind of is. Ways, I know.
That's the big, like, one of the minor reveals at the end there is, like, the lady is, like, next to him, like, right after a crash. But,
yeah, no, that's what I thought too. You're right.
I mean, me personally, I don't have any stories like that. I don't know anyone who's experienced anything like that, but, you know, I'm also not discrediting people either. But,
right.
You know, with Reddit too, you always got to take everything with 50-50. It's like,
in some aspects,
yes,
you're right.
Yeah.
It's an interesting story, nonetheless.
Right. No, it is. And we talked about this. Like, you know, it's like when people are telling you like stories and like, oh yeah, and all this happened and blah, 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 blah. And they get like, it's like, yeah, maybe this didn't go like the way you're saying it, or maybe this didn't happen. But normally it's not like, normally with ghost stories, there's not like a punchline. There's not a gotcha moment. It's like, this is what happened. And this was the weird part about it. So I don't know.
True. Yeah. It is kind of true. Yeah. I mean, some of them are, I mean, like, yeah, some of the ones I have though are pretty weird and crazy and weird out there, but yeah, I understand. I haven't had it. I mean, not quite like this, not like right after something like that happened. But anyway. All right, let's move on to number 2. This one's also creepy. A mysterious man keeps showing up to crash scenes on Nebraska highway, and it's very odd. So, you know, accidents are common in Nebraska. What is not common is having the same weird, mysterious man show up more than one place of an accident. And this keeps happening in rural Nebraska, or at least it did. Garrison Beach, who we see right here, and his wife were on Highway 36 when suddenly they had to swerve in the middle of the road to avoid a large piece of metal they had to swerve out of the road to avoid a large piece of metal that was right in the middle of the road. The car landed up in a roadside ravine. When Beach looked around after getting out of the car, he spotted another car with its headlights already on, parked next to the road. He said their nightmare had just started, though, as they noticed a dark figure standing at the top of the ravine immediately after they crashed. Garrison said that the man offered to let them sit in his car to wait for the police to arrive, and that he called an ambulance already. They declined, thought it was a little weird. And it wasn't until they heard similar reports from this guy named Kyle Sorensen, who actually they already knew who this guy was. They were already friends. And same thing. He was driving on Highway 36 when he hit a child's bike that seemingly appeared out of nowhere. Glancing in his rearview mirror, he also saw a man sitting in a car on the side of the road with the lights on. A few moments later, the man pulled up behind him and asked if he was okay. Feeling uneasy, Kyle said he just kind of drove off. Later, his wife saw the same man spilling oil onto the same road. And then that's when they called the police. She says it always happens at night. His car has been seen parked at nearby intersections nearby the same intersection with its lights on, engine off, apparently waiting for victims. Recounting the strange encounter, Kyle said, as soon as we got out of the car, the first guy, Beach, said, as soon as we got out of the car, I remember walking up the embankment and this guy just shows up. After 2 additional reports, the local sheriff confirmed that authorities had a suspect in mind and would continue with an investigation. So this is insane. So at first I was like, when I first started hearing the story, I was like, okay, is this guy just kind of a weird like phantom dude showing up, or is something creepier going on? And it actually looks like this guy is causing these wrecks, and he's like watching it play out. And then
in court, prosecutors said he had a previous
you want to play this a little
mischief charge in Dodge County. His bond set at $5,000.
Oh, you found it. There he is.
A highway mystery makes his first court appearance. He's accused of placing objects on busy roads, causing crashes.
First Alert 6 investigator Mike McKnight was the first to expose the dangerous incidents, and he tells us what happened in court today.
Lucky to be alive after swerving off Highway 36 to avoid hitting a large metal object, Garrison and Schuyler Beach saw a man standing at the top of the ravine.
And he was like, "Are you guys okay? I've called the paramedics already."
And
Yeah, we saw that. I was kind of explaining it, but dude, that's insane. What would make someone do that? Good thing he didn't kill anybody, though. I guess he just wanted to like see a car crash. I don't know.
That's the only thing I can think of is like he was doing it on purpose just for the thrill of it. Maybe, I don't know.
Some weird ass people out there.
Yeah,
That's
there
all I
is.
think of. It's like, yeah, it really is weird. Guess this guy really is doing this deliberately. No idea. That's just fucking crazy. Oh, sorry. Didn't mean to say that. It's just crazy.
We're live, pal. We can't fix that one.
Didn't mean to say that. It's just like so crazy. I mean, like, like my mind is just like blown, you know? I'm just like, that is crazy. I mean, like literally, you could like kill people by what you're doing. But I'm so glad that you because I didn't see that they arrested this guy. So I'm glad that you found that and they arrested him. That's just insane stuff. All right. Anyway, let's move on to our number one, which is you and me sharing crazy stories. Hey, welcome.
Hey, what's up? So
You showed your face earlier too.
no, that's all right. Sorry, my background is just my office. I don't have a cool background yet, so
yeah, we'll get you one. That's all good.
that's all right.
Anyway, do you want to why don't you go ahead and you and I we're trying to think of all these different stories because we got so many to share.
Yeah, I don't know where to start. Like,
I know
there's cryptics one and there's some ghost ones, so I think we should stick with the more ghosty stuff.
Yeah, we'll I want to do a theme one of like werewolves and weird cryptid things, and then you can share your Rougarou story. So we'll save that one for another time. But you have one about shadow people.
Yes. Okay. I'll go ahead and go first, then you can close
Go
out.
ahead.
Okay. So I used to live in an area in an apartment that was like built in the 70s, and it oh man, like every 6 months something weird would happen there. Like I remember waking up in the dead of night and like hearing a little kid like loud as day like say my name, and like around like 3 or 4 in the morning. Things would move, all kinds of weird stuff. And one night my ex was and I were asleep, and she woke up and she woke me up by screaming, and there was something in the corner of the room that was moving around, and she picked up a pillow and threw it at it, and it vanished. And I was like, well, what the heck just happened? And she was like, this shadowy figure was crawling up the bed and had a white face with long black hair and was reaching for us. And I woke up and I yelled at it, and it jumped in the corner, and that's when I woke up because her yelling woke me up. And like crap like this would happen like every 6 months. Like sometimes it'd be something small where you just heard footsteps or hearing something like noises from the basement or just something like that. But that was one of the few times where something like fully formed like came in. And there was another night where I wasn't even asleep. I was like on my phone, like in that, like not even like in that weird period where you're half asleep, half awake. No, I was just fully awake on my phone, like doom scrolling. And I have a cat. He's really fat. I have a picture of him actually. That's Secret Agent Meow Meow, and you might have seen it in a few Edge of Wonder videos if you needed stock footage of a cat. But he's just a fat, cat, and he snores really loud. And one night, I thought he was in I had a night table by my bed, And he would get up there some nights. And one night he got like into the corner and he was like snoring and breathing really loud. And I'm like, Agent, are you all right, buddy? And like all of a sudden he stops. And then I feel like a force of wind jump over the bed, go on to the other side of the room. Then I heard footsteps walk out the room. And I, man, I'm getting like, just thinking about it, like, but, yeah, I remember I grabbed my phone, I grabbed my flashlight on my phone, and I was like looking around. My ex is waking up, and she's like, "What the heck is going on?" And I was like, "There was something in the room." And then like both cats came strolling into the room afterwards, so he wasn't even in the room when this happened.
Whoa, that's nuts.
Needless to say, for like a week I didn't sleep.
You know,
that's what I hate the most about this type of stuff
Yeah.
is like it's not so much when it happens, but oh my god, man, it's like
I never liked that.
afterwards-
I never liked that apartment. That it's the one that you you're the one that you live next to the railroad tracks. Is it? That one?
that one.
Yeah. That I every time I was over there, I always felt weird. Man, yeah, I did not like sleeping there either.
No, it was like
strange.
like I said, then like nothing would happen, and then like every 6 months or so, something else would happen. Funny enough, after she moved out, a lot of the stuff kind of stopped happening.
You know, I was, you know, even at the time, I didn't want to say anything, but I felt that it was kind of like something that she was doing that was kind of causing this really weird energy.
She was just a magnet for, you know,
Yeah.
stuff to happen to her. That was just kind of her MO, but
Right, I know. And I yeah. And because it was like a big difference when she wasn't there. It was like, oh, I don't feel this. You know, I'm not trying to say she was negative.
no.
I'm just saying it's like you said, it was like this magnet. Whatever she was doing was kind of bringing this there. But
yeah, I mean, there was a time where I woke up because she punched me in the chest and knocked the wind out of me, and I couldn't breathe. And I looked up, and there was like something like lingering over the bed, and then like it went away, and I'm like, I can't breathe, and I'm like, what the hell just happened? And she's like, there was another version of you standing over the bed watching us. I have asked many people about theories about that, and it's everything from like doppelgangers, from demons to alternate dimension type stuff. That's the one that really, I don't think I could. That's the one that literally,
my understanding is that it's like it's not you. It's something. It's like some demonic thing that like that was taking the form of you. But again, I feel like this has to do with more with her than you. You know, like I don't think if she wasn't there, I don't think that you would have encountered this thing. Did you see it, or is it only her that saw it?
She saw me. I saw like a shadowy thing.
Okay.
I was like, dead asleep, and I have something I couldn't breathe because she knocked the wind out of me.
Yeah, that's
so scared to wake me up. So, and also I'm reading some of the comment sections. Yeah, if cats snore.
Yeah, dude, my cat snored.
Cats legit snore.
Yeah, my cat, like, because my cat's a little big too. And the first time he was in my room and he was like sleeping, it kind of freaked me out too, because I was like, dude, what's like, this is so crazy. My cat is snoring, you know. And now it's kind of weird because I started hearing. I think I had a story to share, but you know what? After yours is so good, I think I'm gonna wait to share mine too, my really good one.
Maybe you should do a top 5 of the weirdest shit that happened to you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it would be like a top 50, I feel like. But we can definitely continue this conversation in the next show. But yeah, sometimes when I'm half asleep and half awake, I hear things as well. And yeah, it's usually I'll hear the same thing. I'll hear my name being called or something like that. And there has been a couple of strange things that happened. And again, it's like I'm not so weird. Something just fell over right when I said that. But it's I don't know if you know, it's like now with the cats, because now I have 2 cats because my other friends were moving and they're like, can you watch our cat for a while? But now I'm kind of got attached to him. He's a Siamese cat. And he's the one that's kind of creating problems during my live show. My other cat, he's super chill and nice and calm. But anyway, but yeah, sometimes I'll hear them or hear sounds and I'm like, oh, that's just the cats. But then other times I'm like, dude, I don't know if that's the cats or if I'm just hearing things, because sometimes I do hear things. Occasionally when I'm sleeping in my room, I have my bathroom that's also in my room, and it sounds like occasionally I hear like almost like a woman's voice that will just be like, and it sounds like Harry Potter, weird, eerie stuff, and I'm just like, whoa, what the heck? And it happens occasionally. It hasn't happened in a while. But I heard this, it was like one time I heard this like heavy breathing as well. And it turned out it was my cat. And I'm so thankful for that.
Like, I've gotten used to like how Agent snores. I'm used to like the noises he makes, but sometimes like, man, there's one time where a bunch of us were in the living room. Like, what's that noise? It was Agent in the chair, and he was snoring like an old man. It was
yeah, my cat. I think the bigger cats snore a little bit sometimes. Like definitely snores, but that's crazy. Yeah, I remember you telling me that story a long time ago, and I'm like, dude, that's so nuts.
Yeah,
you and I just have so many stories that we could get into that we were always like, we should like talk about these things. So this is the beginning of it. We can definitely, next show we can talk a little bit more about this too. I think this is a good.
We should do the werewolf thing.
Yeah, I think we'll do the werewolf thing. I was trying to find more werewolf stories, and it's so hard because they have different names throughout history. They weren't really. You can't look up like werewolves in the 1800s in like newspapers because they were calling them different things. So I'm trying to figure out all of that. But
also, I think there's a little bit of a scrub on the internet from them.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
Like, there's so much stuff that's like missing from the internet compared to like any other cryptid. So
yeah, I mean, because I want to hear your opinion about that too, because we'll share your story next time. I mean, I think Rob and I have brought up your story.
I've talked to Rob quite a bit about it, actually.
Yeah, yeah, but I think like for finally like our audience, our viewers out there, they can finally hear your story from you. I think that would be cool. So yeah, there's so many other stories that we can tell too. So I think we'll save it for next time because it'll give us a lot more stuff to talk about. Growing up in the old house and all the weird things that are happening there.
I'm just laughing at all the crazy stuff that happened there. And Mom's like, I don't know. I never felt anything weird. Or Dad's saying,
no, it was so weird.
So
my parents didn't feel anything, and like you and I were like, oh, these weird things are. I don't know. This is strange. And it was like a brand new house. That was the weird thing about it. It wasn't like we moved into some old house. Like we built it. I mean, it wasn't like it was just a lot of land. There was not even a house there when we first got it. It was like they built it. So it was so weird when things started happening because I'm like, this doesn't make any sense. But I was young, and but I realize now the whole area I felt uncomfortable in. It wasn't just our house. Like even just walking outside at night in the neighborhood, which is like the most peaceful neighborhood you could possibly think of, I felt something was always watching me at night, especially.
Same. Yeah.
Whenever I would ride my bike around, I kept always wanting to turn around. And then when we moved, it was like, I don't feel this way anymore. So I realized it was definitely the area. So yeah, we can talk more about that, but cool. All right. Well, Jordan, thanks for being here.
Of course.
Like I said, we have a lot more to talk about next time. So we'll save our stories. I have a really good one too that I was going to bring up this show, but I'm like, you know what? I think I'll save it for the next show. So this is in people are asking where, in Columbus, Ohio, specifically Hilliard, Ohio. Not a place I would recommend living, even though I still have occasional friends, well, more acquaintance that still live there. Wouldn't necessarily say. Yeah, but we did spend a lot of our life growing up there. So, But anyway, well, you guys, I hope you like this episode. It's great having Jordan on here. We can talk about some of these weird things. That's why I was kind of talking to Lindsay, and I was like, I think Jordan might be a better fit for this, because him and I can get into some really weird stuff together. So we'll see how it goes. So Jordan, thanks for being here. Good job in your first live show. And as always, we'll see you guys out on the edge. Stay weird, everyone.